right, we are getting ready for our first Monday night football game of the 2021-2022 season. It's the Baltimore Ravens at the Las Vegas Raiders, and finally a glimpse for fans at Allegiant Stadium. Cannot wait. It's an 8:15 Eastern kick from Vegas in Sin City right here on ESPN. Welcome to Monday Tailgate. I am Shae Cornette, joined by Field Yates. Now, we had a full slate of football yesterday. We've gotten some rest since Thursday, and so here we are gearing up again for Monday night. It is Ravens and Raiders, as I mentioned, and because we're here on Monday Tailgate, getting you set for the game, which, by the way, you can watch on ESPN, so make sure you contact your cable providers and switch on over to watch that. And look, here we have a Raven and a Raider.
Which is scarier?
I think the Raven maybe is scarier because the makeup comes off. I'm not sure.
This could be a gentle soul underneath all that face paint, for all we know.
Exactly. And the Raiders have had a rough go. The Ravens, rather, have had a rough go the last couple of days with injuries and whatnot. Nonetheless, they still have Lamar Jackson as their quarterback. And so I guess the question is, can the Raiders defense slow down Lamar Jackson tonight?
I'm going to go no.
Okay.
And this Raiders defense last year struggled immensely. They have spent gratuitously over the past couple of years in free agency to try to rectify this defense. They have drafted a bunch of players in the first round to try to rectify this defense. They have not been able to stop anybody, Shae. Now, maybe things look a little bit better this year. They did, once again, as I mentioned, attack the defense aggressively, both in free agency and then in the draft. But I am not convinced they can slow down Lamar Jackson, which is in part because of them. Also, in part because of Lamar Jackson, right? I mean, this is, after all, the most dynamic athlete we've ever seen at the quarterback position. And even with a group of pass catchers that has a lot of new faces and has already dealt with some injuries, he can dice you up as a thrower, too. Just 2 seasons ago, Lamar Jackson led the NFL with 36 passing touchdowns.
Okay, yeah, so he can also use his legs and his arms. That is a good point. And in terms of the Raiders' defense, third worst on third down last season. So if they can just be slightly better there, maybe they would have a chance. We talked about the Raiders' defense a little bit here. They did address it through the draft. Perhaps maybe the young guys could step up in a big way and try and help slow down that quarterback.
Yeah,
right?
So their first-round pick was Alex Leatherwood, an offensive tackle out of Alabama, where basically every first-round pick is from. They used their second-round pick on Trayvon Merrick, a safety out of TCU, and they also added players that I keep mentioning in free agency. So again, it hasn't been for lack of effort. The problem is all those efforts have not yielded much. And how about this? 2 years ago, they had 3 first-round picks, including the 4th overall. They took Cleveland Ferrell, defensive end out of Clemson. He is not playing tonight, just like I am not playing tonight. He's a healthy scratch, Shae. This is tough. You have to get more out of your defensive investments, especially when you play in a division that features Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert, and you kick off your season with a game against Lamar Jackson. It will not be easy.
Hey, also in their division would be the Broncos, and yesterday the Broncos looked really good as well. All right, speaking of the Broncos and maybe what we learned from yesterday, full slate on Sunday it was, and so let's go through some of these games and talk about what we learned from what we saw in actual games. This is, again, week 1 now fully underway as we get set for our first Monday Night Football matchup between the Raiders and the Ravens. Let's start with Packers and Saints. What was your biggest takeaway from what was a Packers team that looked very uncharacteristic and a Saints team that has a bit of a resurgence even without Drew Brees?
Right, so first of all, we saw what life without Aaron Rodgers looked like for the Packers. He played?
He was there.
Aaron Rodgers played yesterday.
Turning balls over.
That's weird.
Yeah, it was weird.
That Saints D is nasty. That's what I learned. You can throw about 8 S's in that nasty when I say it. They are all sorts of ridiculous. The Saints defense held the Packers to the fewest points that they have ever scored with Aaron Rodgers as their starter, if you don't count a couple of games in which he left due to injury, which is unfair, right? The guy leaves an opening drive. It's not really a game that you can count. This Saints defense got after the passer. Devontae Adams, the best wide receiver in football last year, was held to 2 catches for 15 yards when being covered by Marshawn Lattimore. Aaron Rodgers looked flummoxed and confused. This is supposed to be a home game for the Saints in New Orleans. Because of Hurricane Ida, they were playing in Jacksonville, a neutral field, and nothing fazed the Saints yesterday. Incredible effort by them on defense. And I know Jameis had 5 touchdown passes as well, but you've heard all about that for the past 24 hours, Shae. Give the love to the Saints defense.
Okay, let's go to Browns and Chiefs. Let's move on. And I agree with you. We'll give love to the Saints defense. But moving on to Browns and Chiefs. Here's what I learned yesterday. More of the Browns, same with the Chiefs. Like, coming down in the 4th quarter, I think we learned both these teams are very good, and they're both going to be competitors, not only in their division, but in the AFC as a whole, right? But it was more of the same. It was a breakdown in every form of the word from the Browns in the fourth quarter. You could blame the punter, sure. You could blame Baker Mayfield, fine. But at the end of the day, the entire team really collapsed in the fourth quarter. More of the same for the Browns. And what did the Chiefs do? Well, they capitalized on those mistakes, and they found a way to win. More of the same for the Chiefs. I mean, this is a Browns team that has not won an opener since 2004. I graduated high school that year. I mean, it's been a very long time, to say the least. And it's just more of the same when it matters. And so the Browns, while they are a very good football team, they're just not there yet. That's what I learned in that matchup.
Yeah, they're so 0-16-1, I believe, since 2004 in Week 1 games. How about Patrick Mahomes? He's 10-6 when he trails by at least 10 points at halftime. No other quarterback in NFL history with at least 10 such games has a winning record. He's ridiculous. Patrick Mahomes is a cheat code.
But no matter what the score is, like, you just assumed the Chiefs were going to win that game. It didn't matter. And you figured the Browns might lose. And that's where the problem is and where the Browns need to be better. Okay, let's move it along. Cardinals and Titans. And if you're going to tell me you saw this coming, you're lying to yourself. What did you learn?
So I don't have a blank check on me. But if I did, I would pass it along to Cardinals general manager Steve Keim. And I would say, take this and present it to Chandler Jones, the defensive end, who had 5 sacks yesterday. It felt like more. There was literally no answer for Chandler Jones yesterday, who was so good and so dominant that Taylor Lewan, a very good player for the Titans, took to Twitter and basically said, you kicked my tail. You have showed me what I need to be, or what the level I need to be at. Chandler Jones wants a new deal, and after yesterday, I don't know how, if you're the Cardinals, you're not thinking long and hard about getting back to the negotiating table and at least thinking about it. Pass rushers do not grow on trees. Chandler Jones is one of the elite in the game. Pay him all the money. All of it.
All of it. Whatever he wants. And Field said he'll pay him too. He just doesn't have a blank check with him. But maybe.
Yeah, I have like $12 in my wallet though.
Give him the extra $12.
Yeah,
Quickly, Jags and Texans was not a sexy game heading into it yesterday. But I think it surprised a lot of people, but not you, Mr. Yates.
You know something, Shae? I mess up a lot of the calls that I make. That's what happens when you work in this business. That's why there's a Twitter account called Old Takes Exposed, and it's a very funny one. And sometimes we make things right. And all week I said I have one lock for Week 1, just one. The Texans are going to throttle the Jaguars. And
you
they
said
did.
Throttle.
Oh, yeah. Stone cold lock. Texans are manhandling the Jaguars.
Wow.
And they did. And part of the reason why is I felt like the Jaguars left so much to be desired roster-wise, and that's just because they were 1-15 last year. It's only so much you can do during one off season.
There's a reason you have the number 1 overall.
Yeah, and Trevor Lawrence is going to be spectacular. I have no doubts about that. But I also believe that the Texans this offseason, while everybody was sitting there dunking on them and having their laughs, but what they did, I know it's not sexy. I know that it wasn't a bunch of all pro level players, but they brought pieces in that fit what they want to do, and they're going to play incredibly hard every single week. And I know that these are athletes and we should not be talking about effort, but the truth is effort still matters at the highest level. The Texans, at least for 1 week, have something to feel very good about.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Okay, time to get to our game day drip here and our fan of the week. And if you don't know what game day drip is, first of all, you need to get cooler, but that's also why we are here to inform you. So what we're going to do is, maybe you were focused too much on what was going on the field, your team warm-ups, who was playing, who wasn't, your fantasy teams, whatever. We're here to show you the coolest dudes that were on the field over the weekend and what they showed up on the field in.
Right. Other than me, of course, I showed up in overalls yesterday, but we don't have video evidence.
I actually saw you yesterday because we both worked. You were not in overalls. Do you own overalls?
I do not. No,
okay,
I do
good.
not. Yeah.
All right, that's good for all of us. Okay, let's start with Stephon Diggs. He paid tribute to Michael K. Williams with his cleats. And I love this. A man must have a code is what it says on there. These are cool. Game Day Drip 100 for Stephon Diggs.
And the painter, the artist who did those cleats, I believe is Buffalo-based. So, like, every week a Buffalo Bills player is bringing the noise one way or the other.
Love it. Gotta love it. Okay, let's move on. DK Metcalf, my favorite game day drip, showing up in a classic Michael Jordan fit from the 90s. I mean, it does not get cooler than this. The only thing I gotta say, though, it was GOAT style. I liked the caption there by the Seahawks. We didn't see DK for, like, the first half. Where was he?
Oh, yeah. Oh, trust me.
He didn't.
Trust me. I'm very aware, Shae. I only play in
MJ
9
day.
fantasy leagues. Yeah, I was sitting there thinking to myself, is DK Metcalf on a bye? Did I miss something? Did I miss an injury on the injury report? Nope. He finished today okay, though. 4 catches, 60 yards, and a touchdown, and a terrific outfit. And I don't care what, he could be wearing a tutu right now, and I would not say a darn thing. You know why? Because do you see that man's muscles? DK Metcalf is like a linebacker multiplied by a tight end, multiplied by the best athlete ever, and he's a wide receiver.
Yeah, and he's got game day drip on 10s. Okay, keep it moving. Chase Young here rocked a W chain with like a Cash Money t-shirt underneath it. The question we have is the W for the Washington football team is the W for win, which they did not do.
Interesting. I think if I saw the Chargers Twitter account, it's not for win. Because Chargers handed them an L yesterday.
Exactly.
But it's pretty sweet. And Chase Young, by the way, is kind of like DK Metcalf in terms of like physical specimen, so I don't want to take him to task all that frequently. And he was really good yesterday, as he seems to be almost every time he plays football.
Yeah, the Chargers did beat the Washington football team 20-16. Nonetheless, we aren't sure what the W stands for, hopefully for the Washington football team. Alvin Kamara here, pre-game visor, a nod to NASCAR. You can see it there across his eyes. Another guy who had a really good game yesterday, so this game day drip worked for Alvin Kamara.
And I know the NFL has a reason why they don't allow specialty visors. You can't wear tinted visors. I think that rule should be dropped. There are a few rules that should be dropped in the NFL. That is one of them, because that would be sweet to see. Of course, this past offseason, Alvin Kamara and NASCAR teamed up. He is, I believe, a brand ambassador for, I think that's the official title for NASCAR, which is pretty sweet.
I like the visors and the helmets. Cordero Patterson, when he was with the Bears, used to have one that was like iridescent that he used to rock.
It was awesome. I was convinced every time he wore it that he was going to run for like 5 touchdowns.
Didn't always work out that way.
I kind of never did, but I was always thinking it was going to.
Hey, me too. I like where your head's at. All right, how about our fan of the week? And this fan of the week is a really good one. And we go to Bills Mafia for this one. And usually Bills Mafia comes with all the things adults. Well, it was all the things baby.
God.
Breaking the table with the baby. Bills Mafia, everyone's got a cell phone on hand for a reason.
Let me ask you something, Shae. As the mother of a young child,
yes,
would you allow your baby to be put through? Is that a cake? What is that? What did they actually?
No, I think it's a mini table that folds.
But is it like a mini table that they like took all the underneath support from? Because
it's like the top of a
shoebox.
It broke
pretty easily.
It's the top of a shoebox, I think.
By the way, that baby is so cute. I cannot get over it.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Would I allow my child to do this? I probably am not going to bring my child to a tailgate for like a year or two.
Okay.
But if I lived in Buffalo, I would do this in a year or two.
I'm with you there.
You know
what? That was so cute. I got to be honest with you.
Do you remember the like mini tables that came in the pizza?
Yes.
That's like kind of what that reminded me of.
That's right. Why do they have those? I think it was to keep the slices intact.
Is that what it was? Because I thought it was to like not get the grease in the top of the pizza box.
Oh.
I don't know.
That's what it is.
I think that's what it is.
Wow.
Well, we learn something new every day.
I was just gonna say.
All right, let's hand out game balls. This is the fun part, right? I'll let you go first.
Okay.
The underhand toss. There you go.
We already gave ours to Chandler Jones earlier. Like we've given him his flowers, so I'm gonna move on to a different pass rusher. And remember how like 5 days ago TJ Watt got paid literally every dollar? He balled out.
Player.
Yes, 2 sacks, forced fumble, and he was ridiculous. As a matter of fact, his pregame speech to his teammates made me want to run through a brick wall, which would be bad because I'd concuss myself. He had 2 sacks and 5 quarterback hits in a win against the Buffalo Bills. This could go to basically the entire Steelers defense, but TJ Watt, best player on that Steelers defense. They were remarkable, especially in the second half. They neutralized the Bills' offense entirely. The Bills scored like 95 points a game last season. They scored 13 on Sunday.
Yeah, okay, I like it. Can I
We're back?
Yeah, my turn. My game ball is going to go to Jameis Winston. Now, I am not a person that admits when they're wrong very often, so here I am admitting that I was wrong. I did not think it was going to be this kind of transition from Drew Brees to Jameis Winston, and I was wrong. And not because his stat line like pops off the page, because 14 of 20 for 148 yards, really, but the 5 touchdowns over a very good Green Bay Packers team, and no interceptions. The no interceptions part is what really got me, and bravo to Jameis Winston, because you carried the torch well for the Saints yesterday. And I got to say, I was completely wrong about how you were able to quarterback that team. And the fact that you didn't turn the ball over at all was very impressive.
I was impressed by the fact that you noted that you don't like to admit when you're wrong, which is funny because I was talking, I saw your husband Jordan recently. He was telling me about how you're undefeated in debates between the two and arguments, right?
I don't admit when I'm wrong.
You are undefeated.
And so this took a lot for me, Fields.
Yeah, and this was really impressive. Listen, this was an incredible performance from Jameis Winston. I love the quirkiness of it too, by the way.
Yeah.
5 touchdown passes for Jameis, less than 150 passing yards. This was old school. Like every pass that he threw, it felt like it went into the end zone. And I got to say this, Shae, is that Jameis has been such an easy target. In some ways, it's merited, right?
Yeah, I mean.
But the stuff he does every workout video from Jameis goes viral on Twitter, and people just dunking all over him for goofiness and what are you doing? How does it help a quarterback? And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that one game means that Jameis Winston is a fixed, amended version of the guy that used to be the biggest turnover machine in the NFL. But he looked awesome yesterday. He silenced a lot of critics, at least for one Sunday. I'm rooting for him. I love the Saints in general. I'm a big fan of New Orleans. I'm a big fan of the Saints. I loved seeing Jameis redeem himself, even if for one Sunday. And this was not, by the way, in like a low-stakes game. I don't care. People always get mad when you say Jameis played against Aaron Rodgers because they're not technically playing. Come on! The two quarterbacks in the game are almost always facing off in some way, shape, or form. You are trying to meet the standard set by the opposing quarterback, or you're trying to raise the bar for your own standard so the other guy can't get there and meet you. He played incredible in a game where Aaron Rodgers, probably in, 9 out of 10 meetings, is normally the story.
Yeah, I agree. Look, you're replacing a legend in Drew Brees. You've been displaced from where you normally practice, right? And where you were supposed to have the game. You weren't getting all the first-team reps the entire offseason, so it's not like you have this remarkable chemistry with everyone on your football team. There were some things stacked against you, and yet Jameis Winston delivered. Again, the 0 interceptions was of the most importance, though. So tonight's Raiders-Ravens game is going to have an alternate broadcast with Eli Manning and Peyton Manning.
I've heard of both of them, actually.
Yeah, have you? Mm-hmm. You can check that out. But for more on this brothers broadcast, here's this. Take a listen.
All right, here we go. We got a game here.
Great play action. You're going to see as this play goes, this safety is going to cut this crossing route by the receiver. It's going to free up. This corner is going to kind of go back and become the new free safety.
Is halftime shorter in the preseason? It's like 5 minutes. How did you have food? Right. Eli, do I have barbecue on my mouth? Can you tell? They put so much sauce on these things. They put so much lacquer on these things.
How long would it take you to grow a mustache like that, Paige?
Not possible. I used to be embarrassed. I never had to use shaving cream, and now I realize it's an advantage.
All right, so the fans are back in the stands, which is a big deal, right?
It is.
Fandom all across the nation in the NFL, and it's a good time to be a fan of certain teams. Top 5 fan bases, Field, I'll give you the floor first. Number 5, who you got?
First of all, if you're looking for me on Twitter, my handle is @Shae Peppler. You
Don't
can
do
direct
that.
all comments to my handle there. Number 5 for me, the Cleveland Browns, a team that has not accomplished a ton on the field, at least over the past 40 years. But the fans have remained incredibly loyal. They are so dedicated to the cause, the dog pound. The Browns, by the way, are going to be very good this year. We saw that yesterday. The Browns fans are legit. They deserve to be even higher, although I'm going to say that for a few other fan bases as well.
Okay, fair enough. So I wanted to take my Bears at number 4 because I am indeed a Bears fan. However, I'm going to go with what I think is actually true, and I'm going to go with Steelers at number 4. This is a fan base tried and true, stride and steady. It doesn't matter who's playing quarterback, who's not. If they're good, they're bad. Terrible towels are where it's at. Give me the Steelers at number 4.
All right, so the Steelers, good pick there at number 4. Black and gold, they're obviously very, black and yellow, I should say, very dedicated to their Pittsburgh Steelers. That much is for sure. As we look around this, I have heartburn thinking about not having a fan base on there. I want to find room for the New Orleans Saints at some point on this list. I'm not sure I'm going to get that opportunity, but the Chiefs come in at number 3 for me. I am biased. I worked for the Kansas City Chiefs back in the day, and here's what I can tell you, Shae. I used to get to the office early on game days because we had to. You'd pull up to the office, to the stadium, around 6 a.m., and the parking lot would be a traffic jam. People who had been there for hours tailgating. The hardest part about getting to the stadium was traffic and not wanting to stop at every tailgate because it smelled unbelievable. Chiefs fans are remarkable. Top 3 for me.
I mean, there's a reason that Arrowhead has such good home field advantage. And it's not just because of the way they play football. It also does have to do, Patrick Mahomes helps, Andy Reid helps, all these things help. However, Arrowhead is a special place for a reason. Okay, at number 2, I am going to go with the Cowboys. And this is hard for me because, America's team gets everything they want, it feels like, all of the time. And not always on the field, I mean everything else. But Jerry's world is exactly that, Jerry's world. And it feels like this is a fan base that you can find anywhere across the country, internationally. They are a fan base that goes far and wide beyond just Texas. And so Cowboys at number 2 just seems inevitable to me.
Stephen A. is laughing somewhere.
Yeah.
That's your pick.
But he has his own shtick for a team.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like,
and he
can't do
is
that
a
with anyone
Steelers
else.
fan, so you've sort of
I
played
mean, everyone
both
has.
sides of the
Yeah,
coin
that's
here,
what I do.
right? So again, it pains me not to have the Saints in my top 5, but number 1 for me is the Buffalo Bills. This is a team that is basically like they mirror their fan base. You think about Buffalo, you think about the Bills. You think about the Bills, you think about Buffalo. They jump through tables. They do F5s through tables. These
They
people
wear
do it
ketchup
all
and
the
mustard.
time. And Zubaz pants. I love Bills fans. I love going to Orchard Park for a Sunday. And if anybody did not see it, get a glimpse of Sal Powell dropping a dime yesterday with Bills Mafia. I absolutely love them. The Bills are going to be very good this year. Tough start yesterday, but the Bills fans have plenty to cheer about. They make my list at number 1. Again, with apologies to really Saints fans and Packers fans for not cracking this top 5.
Bills were my number 1 as well because the Bills were lousy for a very long time. There was a big gap between being good at football for Bills fans, and you would never have known it if you were in that stadium. They have remained consistent through the good years and the bad, and for that reason, give me the Bills Mafia all day long. Okay, speaking of fans, there's a super fan that we know very well, Jason Fitz, who is currently in Las Vegas for the Raiders game. Yes, well, Raiders and Ravens game, I should say.
It's a Raiders game to him.
Yeah, to him, it's a Raiders game. And so let's check in with our very own super fan. That would be Jason Fitz for more on tonight's matchup.
Shae, Field, I'm not at work because I'm in Vegas. I'm hanging out with Raiders fans, and let's be real, this is going to be a tough matchup. Baltimore is a very good football team. We're looking at a rebuilt offensive line for the Raiders. Lots of questions every single year about the defense. We can ask questions all day long, but what I know is we're in Vegas, baby!
Okay, he's not having any fun at all.
You know what, though? I got to take Fitz to a task here for a second.
Okay.
All right? So Fitz is a mainstay on this show. It's the first show of the season, and Fitz is already on vacation. Like, have we thought enough about whether Fitz cares about this program?
Well, okay, to be fair, it is Monday Night Football, so it is ESPN. He does work here. He's a super fan of the Raiders. In Vegas, unveiling of the new stadium.
All right, fine. By the way, Fitz works like literally around the clock, and he's on every single show here, so I'm just giving you a little bit of grief, my friends.
I am here to be good cop. You can be bad cop.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here. I'm new around here. I can't be dogging people day one.
Oh, trust me, you can get on Fitz. Say whatever you want. Don't worry. He's got thick skin.
Anyways, he's in Vegas.
Those tattoos give him thick skin.
Yeah, right, exactly. Okay, so we got Ravens and Raiders here coming up momentarily. And don't judge by this because this is a little frightening behind us, but Raven and Raider. But nonetheless, the Ravens, they had a rough week, right? We mentioned this earlier, but they have suffered a boatload of injuries. To name a few here, J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, we know. But this is a big opportunity tonight now for Tyson Williams out of the backfield. The reality of the situation is the 3 running backs that the Ravens are going to play tonight have never played in a Ravens uniform.
Yeah,
and so they have an immense challenge on their hands tonight.
And this is not a team like the Chiefs or the Bills where it's like, we don't even bother running the ball that much. It's a team that runs the football as much as anybody in the NFL. As a matter of fact, 2019 and 2020, their rushing percentage was like way over 50%. Like no team in the NFL does that anymore, Shae. So we're going to see all sorts of new faces, specifically Tyson Williams, who you mentioned.
Yep.
And if anybody you know is sitting there like, I know all about him, tell that person they're lying, right? Because this is a player who's well-traveled during his college days. Went from South Carolina, finished up at BYU. We did not see him other than preseason game action this preseason. Undrafted free agent, solid player in college, but there's still a lot to learn tonight about what kind of player he can be at the pro level. And I have some hopes for him. The Ravens have some hopes for him. Let's also remind ourselves that he was the 3rd-string running back, or even the 4th-string running back, just a few weeks ago. So a key cog for the Ravens that nobody would have forecasted at the beginning of training camp. Meanwhile, Le'Veon Bell and Devontae Freeman not activated from the practice squad tonight. So we will not see either of them, but maybe down the line, one of those 2 guys gets some run as well.
Obviously, depending on probably how tonight goes. Now,
Yes.
the Raiders have a weaker secondary. And so while this is a team that is predicated on the run, and they like to run first, throw second, perhaps tonight is a night where we do see Lamar Jackson air it out a little bit more, not only because of the running back situation and because maybe perhaps lack of a run game, but because of the weaker secondary for the Raiders.
Oh, this Raiders defense can be had. That much is for sure, especially in the secondary. You talked, as you mentioned, like Jonathan Abram, strong safety, the kind of player who he can knock the snot out of you. but you can get him on double move. You can get him in the middle of the field. You can certainly have this cornerback group as well. So I truly believe that Lamar Jackson could shred this defense tonight, both with his arm and his legs as well. Big question for me for the Ravens. It's just who's catching the ball. Hollywood Brown, been there, done that. He missed a good amount of training camp because of a hamstring issue, and he's been a little bit of an up-and-down player during his 2 seasons with the Ravens. Sammy Watkins, this is weird. Sammy has this weird Week 1 thing where he goes crazy in Week 1. It happened at least twice during his tenure with the Chiefs, where he just has monster Week 1s and then sort of fades.
Man,
so
I wish I knew this prior to right now.
Oh, sorry.
You didn't fill me in on the Week 1 Sammy Watkins thing.
My bad. Yeah, that was buried the lead here. My bad. Anyway, Sammy Watkins does have a way of going out with a bang or coming in with a bang in Week 1. So Sammy Watkins, I think, has a chance to make his mark tonight here for the Ravens. And then Mark Andrews, the recently paid. He got 4 years and $54 million. You don't pay a guy all that money to subsequently turn around and have him do things like just run routes and block. You pay him to have touchdown nights basically every Sunday or Monday.
Yeah, or Monday, as we're going to see tonight. Okay, how about Josh Jacobs? He was downgraded to questionable over the weekend, but I know you expect him to play tonight.
He's going to play, yes.
And so we've talked a lot now about the Ravens. Let's go to the Raiders and their run game.
Yeah, so the Raiders have done some curious things over the past few years. That's part of the reason why they've been under some scrutiny. One of them is that they used a first-round pick on Josh Jacobs in 2019. And then this past offseason, they signed Kenyon Drake, 2-year deal worth around $13.5 million. That's a lot of money for a running back in general in free agency, and definitely a lot of money for a guy that you don't plan to use that much. So they better plan to use Kenyon Drake a bunch, but what does that mean for Josh Jacobs, who last season, when he did play, had a huge volume week after week after week. He's a very good, powerful runner, as you can see on that incredible clip right there, just stiff-arming Darqueze Dennard into oblivion. Big question for me with Josh Jacobs is just how much movement can the Raiders' new-look offensive line get against this pretty stout Ravens defensive front, even with some defections this offseason. Josh Jacobs, the Raiders kind of need him from their formula standpoint to be a workhorse, to be a tone setter. And with, again, I mentioned, not just 3 new starters on the offensive line, but Richie Incognito, their standout left guard, not playing tonight because of an injury. I'm not sure this will be a great night here for Josh Jacobs.
Okay, well, that's not good news if you're a Raiders fan or Jason Fitz.
Yeah,
let's go to Henry Ruggs III. He enters now his 2nd year in the league. I feel like every year we are talking about the abilities and capabilities of Derek Carr. And so the question is, do these two connect at some point tonight, or is it early and often? Like, what's going to be the deal with Henry Ruggs III?
I'm managing expectations here. I'm not going to lie to you. The best version of Henry Ruggs last year was fun. He had some ridiculous catches down the field. I will not forget the one at Arrowhead Stadium against the Chiefs last year where you're like, wow, this guy could be special. And that's kind of the vision for Henry Ruggs. Is like, can he be a player that can be Deshaun Jackson light or Tyreek Hill light in terms of his speed down the field? At the same time, it was never consistent last season. The Raiders running passing game runs through one man. It's Darren Waller. Darren Waller, who is just an absolute freak. 100 catches plus last year. Wouldn't surprise me if he set a career high in terms of catches and receiving yards this season. But Henry Ruggs, like, they need it. At the bottom line, I keep bringing up the draft that these Raiders have had. They've had a ton of opportunities. Remember the Khalil Mack trade? Of course you do. You're a Bears fan.
How would I forget that?
You never could. They need those picks to be turned into stars, and they have not yielded star return yet.
Okay, fair enough. Let's get to our game picks. It's Ravens and it's Raiders. It's in Vegas. Who are you taking, Field?
I'm taking the Baltimore Ravens. Sorry, I had to build some dramatic impact there. I'm taking the Ravens. I think this team is just, even with all of the adversity they faced, incredibly well coached, fundamentally sound on defense, explosive quarterback on Lamar Jackson. Give me the Ravens.
I'm going to go Raiders here. I'm going to go off script a little bit because you know what? I'm going to give them a chance. They're in a new stadium. Their fan base is there. Everyone's excited. Look, this is a team in the Raiders that led the league last year in time of possession in the second half. So if they can enter the game in the second half with a lead, perhaps they can use Josh Jacobs, Kenyon Drake maybe to eat up some of that clock. Our crew is a pick as well. Crew, who do you have?
The Ravens.
Oh, the crew has the Ravens. I see. I thought maybe there was going to be like a video behind us. Crew's taking the Ravens too. So I am the odd man out. I am totally fine with this, but I know Fitz is on my side. So it's kind of like a split, 2-2, right?
Fitz is not here. Fitz, your vote does not count. Second of all, you can't even be objective. You would pick the Ravens. You would pick the Raiders against the 85 Bears defense with like the Greatest
What are you doing?
show on turf offense.
What are you doing? No, I would not do anything against the 85 Bears.
No,
defense.
Fitz would.
Oh, Fitz would. Fine. All right, should be a really good game tonight. Enjoy the first edition of Monday Night Football for the 2021-2022 season. It's Raiders and Ravens. You can check it out on ESPN. For Field Yates, I'm Shae Cornette, and we'll see you guys next week.